Hello, welcome to People in Perspective. I'm Isaac Arcos, and today I'm here with David Pina, who is a DEA agent. Thank you for joining me, David.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Isaac.
So, what do you do in your job as a DEA agent?
We do lots of things. One of the primary focus of things that we investigate as a DEA agent is primarily, obviously, drug trafficking, as well as money laundering. So those are the two main focuses that we focus on at the DEA. I'm currently assigned to the Chicago Field Division, and I've been there since 2016.
So, what inspired you to become a DEA agent?
Well, many years ago, I was actually working as a Chicago police officer, and a good friend of mine, his name was Jamie. He was also a police officer at the time, and he made the transition from the Chicago Police Department to the United States Marshal Service. And he told me how great he enjoyed working for the federal government, how great he enjoyed working for the marshals, and he said I should look into it and consider it. So basically, that's kind of what started it. At that point, I decided to do some research on some of the federal law enforcement agencies that were out there. DEA kind of caught my eye just because I did enjoy being the police officer, and I ultimately applied and was offered the position.
Did you have to do any training to become an agent?
Yes. So once I was hired, I was sent to Quantico, Virginia, and we spent about 16 weeks there, about 4 months. While we were in Quantico, it's the same facility we share with the FBI, and we did everything from firearms training to drug identification, to learning the laws, to physical tactics. We took exams, so you kind of learn everything you need to do in order to become an agent. Once I graduated there, I was assigned to the Caribbean Division, so I worked in Puerto Rico for about 3 years before I was transferred back to Chicago.
Do you work in a group or by yourself?
So no, I work in a group. Our groups are made up of, we have one group supervisor who's obviously our boss, and then we have multiple agents, and we have multiple task force officers. Task force officers are police officers from the local community, throughout Chicago that basically are assigned to us. So for example, in our group, we have a Chicago police officer, we have a Cook County sheriff's, we have an Aurora, Arlington Heights, so multiple police departments that they provide personnel to assist us. And we also have financial investigators. Since I work in a money laundering group, we have these financial investigators that help us with our cases and our investigations.
So what do you take on investigations?
So here in Chicago, we're very busy just because Chicago's kind of central location. So a lot of our investigations deal with a lot of the flow of drugs that come from Mexico. And like I said, obviously the money is collected in Chicago and it has to then make it back to the owners of the drugs, whether it be in Mexico or Colombia. So we focus on also that aspect of the money flowing back into these traffickers' hands. So we focus on mainly on that, on the money side of things, and going back to the source countries.
What would you say is the most challenging part about your job?
I would say the irregular hours. We don't necessarily have a start time or an end time, so sometimes the days could be a little long. We're always kind of multitasking. You're getting emails, you're getting phone calls. You're running operations on the street. You're out on the street doing surveillance for a long time. I travel a little bit, so sometimes it's just tough, managing everything that's going on all at one time, kind of on a daily basis.
So where have you traveled?
So some of the countries I've traveled to, have been Mexico, Colombia, Portugal. When we travel to these countries, we typically stick to the cities where our offices are located. So for example, I went to Mexico City. When I go to Colombia, I go to Bogota and Cartagena. When I was in Portugal, we went to Lisbon. Domestically in the U.S., we traveled to Florida, Atlanta, California, New York, Utah. These are some of the places I've kind of traveled recently.
What was your favorite place to travel to?
I enjoy most of our travel. It's always good. I would say California is probably one of my favorite just because of the weather. It's always very nice there. But I still like Chicago and living here. So.
How long have you had your job?
So I started with DEA in 2012. Prior to that, like I said, I was a Chicago police officer, and I started that in 2003. So I've been in law enforcement for almost 20 years now, going on.
So to become a police officer, did you also have to do training for that?
I did. So I don't recall exactly how long the academy was for Chicago, but it was definitely a few months as well. It's down in the city, over in the South Loop there, and it was a little nicer because it was Monday through Friday, and you got to go home, as opposed to DEA in Quantico. You live there, so you're there for the entire duration of the academy. I think I traveled home twice, so that was definitely difficult. Just to be there the whole time.
What was like your longest trip, like investigation? How long did it last?
I think the longest trip I've ever been on was probably about 2 weeks, that we traveled somewhere. We were out there for 2 weeks. Our investigations as a whole can last years, just because we tend to, once we investigate a certain person and we're able to arrest that individual, typically we have information that we can go off to the next guy. So sometimes our investigations tend to spin off, and they can go on for multiple years.
What would you say your favorite part of your job is?
I would have to say the guys I work with. The guys and girls in my group are great people. We have a good time every day. We enjoy each other's company, enjoy working together. We know that our job is important, so we take pride in the fact that we tend to keep our community safer. From drugs, from criminals themselves. By putting some serious bad people in jail. Hopefully for a long time, and keeping them off the streets.
Well, since you've had your job for so long, do you like your job?
I do. We have to retire at 57. That's kind of our mandatory age. I've met people that have retired, and they definitely say, hey, the job goes by quick, so enjoy it. I have no regrets so far. Like I said, I've been blessed with the job and kind of the opportunities I've had and the investigations I've worked. And I'm looking forward to the rest of my career.
Do you wish you could work past 57 years old?
No, I think it's a good age to go. I'm looking forward to retirement and enjoying my family and, kind of the next chapter of my life. So I definitely don't think I need to work past 57, especially with this job.
Well, thank you for joining me, David. I'm Isaac Arcos, and you're watching People in Perspective.
Thank you.